All right, DeRae, we are recording in person for the first time in what? Since the Delta virus?
I don't know. I don't know what variant we're on.
Yeah.
I don't know when we last recorded an episode.
It's been too long. Well, no, we recorded the episode in December, right before
It was?
New Year's. Yeah.
Okay. I
That's
didn't know if
episode
it
19
was.
with Tony.
Okay, I remember episode 19. I just don't remember when it happened. It's been a long year already.
It has been. It's February, but this is finally the season finale, season 1, Cautious Coffee, episode 20. Roll the intro. Welcome into Cautious Coffee, Austin Staten, DeRae Crane. We are coming to you from, I guess, a new recording location. Not a new location, but a new
Austin's
couch.
couch.
New couch. We thought we'd, change things up a little bit and
Before Austin
put
moves
our
out
feet
of
up.
here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is probably the last time we're going to record here. Next time we'll have a new location. Yeah, how's everything going?
We
man?
have many new locations that we're going to record
You
at.
got a house. I got a house.
We still haven't recorded at Winterfell.
We have not. But that's where it all started, sort of.
Sort of, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to get up there at some point. But what are we talking about for the season finale of Cautious Coffee?
Yeah, so you said habits. So the first thing that came to my mind was the Ed Sheeran song, Habits. Do you know it?
I did not know it. Sing a little bit of it.
I can't sing, so I will just encourage you to go to Spotify
Okay.
and give it a listen. I don't have, I don't have the voice, and I don't want to, make this clip go viral. So we're not gonna get into that.
Yeah, and I thought I brought up habits because we talked about it before, and Tony had mentioned it.
Yeah.
In our conversation, I thought about how much work it was for us to finally get the season finale wrapped up, or get this season wrapped up, and everything that we've been dealing with or taking on since we started.
Yeah. I mean, habits is really all about prioritization. I mean, it's getting into a routine, whether it's health, diet, reading.
Oh, I'm not here to give people all the answers.
Right. But I'm just
We
saying
are
that
here.
that's essentially, I think, what it boils down to.
Yes, prioritization-ish. I'm going to say ish.
Okay. Explain the ish.
Because I'll share a story. A friend of mine had a brother that died a couple of years ago, and he died in a car accident because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. And he learned that habit of not wearing a seatbelt from his father, who never wears a seatbelt. He's in his 60s.
That was part of the generation where
Anytime he's in his
Not everyone
truck,
did it, yeah.
never wears a seatbelt. He lets that thing beep, here to Dallas.
I could not do that.
And no seatbelt. So, prioritization, yes, but we learn habits, good habits, quote unquote, good and bad habits. But they're very important because your habits make your life. And what's a habit? What's a habit, good or bad, that is top of mind for you, Austin?
Habit that's good or bad that's top of mind for me.
Or a new habit you want to have in 2022. We don't do New Year's resolutions, but
No, I've never done resolutions, and it's kind of weird to do a resolution, especially a week into February. But I think that's always been my beef with these New Year's resolutions. Is
Okay.
people are like, I have to start on January 1st, and it's like, no, if you want to change something or start something new,
right now,
you can start right now.
yes.
You don't need an arbitrary date like, okay, I'm going to start at the 1st of March.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. I would say it's probably something that I started a little bit more toward the end of 2021, and that's hiring a trainer.
Yeah.
And
fancy.
yeah, it is. But I met this guy Bernard a few years ago when I was training at the gym over here in the River Oaks district, and he was actually filling in for my trainer who was, I guess, visiting family in Germany. And Bernard, we hit it off at that time, and he's probably 50, 51, something like that. Great guy. Grew up in Dallas area. Has been in Houston for a bit, and he reached out to me on LinkedIn. Probably, I don't know, August-ish this past year. And I had actually been thinking about, reaching out to him and just seeing if he was doing like any personal training, just to kind of get back into it, because I didn't grow up. I grew up playing like sports, right? Like
Okay.
baseball, but I never grew up like on a program or
Yeah.
learned how to do things correctly.
Mhm.
And, I know how to run, I know how to row, things like that. But in terms of like weight training, I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Right. And so he's been great, to work with. And we worked out this morning, which has been great. And then so I guess the habit is trying to really focus on that. And then from there, hopefully build better habits like, being better at sleep, being better at nutrition. Um, but yeah, I think it's really focusing on that because my grandmother passed away January 1st of this year. She was 77 years old.
That's a life.
She lived a great life.
Mm-hmm.
But you could tell that, she was struggling the
Yeah.
past 3, 4, 5 years.
All right.
And the building that we currently live in right now, let's just say Katie and I joke that it's a retirement center.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of older people
Yep,
that live here. And at the gym, Bernard actually, I guess, introduced him to another client of his. And she's 75, 76, 77, something like that.
Yeah.
And she's getting out there and like moving. And it's great to hear like Bernard talk about her like movements and, being active at that age. And I think back to my father's side, his great grandmother, when she was 90 years old, she would still walk to the grocery store every day.
Yeah.
It was a mile away, mile down, mile back. She was hit by a car, I believe, when she was 90 or 91.
Goodness.
Went to the hospital, rehabbed, and then continued to walk to the store.
Very resilient.
Really until she died.
Yeah.
And so while my grandmother who passed away in January was an incredible woman, I just wonder, had she focused on taking care of herself a little bit more? And she always gave so much to other people.
Yeah.
I wonder if she could have had, another 10, 15 years. So that's a scenario that I don't want to be in, I guess, when I'm 70, 75, 80.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that makes total sense. You mentioned prioritization, and she prioritized others.
Yeah.
There you go. Right. So
she prioritized others. And I wrote this in her obituary. That's like the hardest thing you can do, I think, is writing an obituary for a loved one.
Yeah.
Wrote one for her and my grandfather who passed a few years ago. And unfortunately, he never got his published in the Austin American Statesman, but they wanted to publish my grandmother's. And so I asked if we could publish Oompah's as well. And so I think 2 weeks after she passed, in the Sunday paper, they were right next to each other in the Statesman, which I thought was cool. But that's one of the things that I wrote, is that she always put others first.
To her detriment.
Yeah, and you could just tell that it was taking a toll on her, especially when my grandfather got sick. So she definitely put others first.
It's cool that you got to grow up with grandparents.
Yeah, I was spoiled.
Yeah.
Very spoiled.
On my father's side, his mother died when he was 22. His grandmother raised him, but, I never got to meet either of them. My father didn't know his father, and, so didn't get to meet a grandpa on that side. And then my mother's side, I have just very minimal memories of my grandparents. I know they existed. I know they were alive when I was alive, but, by the time my mother and father split, there wasn't a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I know they lived, 80s. They were late 80s people, at least on my mother's side. And my father's mother just, she drank herself to death.
Yep.
But there's, one thing, that's a habit, right? My father suffered with alcoholism. You see that growing up, and, you kind of adopt these habits of your parents because they're the people you spend the most time with and the most influential at a very early age when you're most absorbent. So it's good. It's good that you are, putting your health as a priority now, as opposed to, I imagine, you may not have grown up with others putting their health as a priority, like in your household.
So
they just lived a long time.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was like a big time high school athlete.
Yeah.
My mom,
high school doesn't count, Austin. Okay.
High school heroes, right? But it was just I see this like with other people raising kids, like
Mm-hmm.
no junk food, or we're just eating like fish
Yeah.
or just chicken, things like that.
Yeah.
And then you see it with other families, people raising where it's like donuts,
Yeah.
pizzas, things like that. And
And generationally, you know, that's hurtful.
yeah, and I think part of it comes down to access, time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we get lazy, and I mean, I'm guilty of this. Don't want to cook, you know, 30-40 minute
Yep.
meals.
Uber Eats, baby.
Yeah, it's convenience.
Too easy. Too
It's
easy.
convenience.
And another reason why we're having this habits as a final episode is because I fell off. I ran that half marathon October 31st, and I was beat up after running that half marathon, and then I just got washed over with work and school, and then was in search of a house. Looked at 55 houses in person, hundreds online.
Dude, Katie and I looked at one in person. I guess like 3 because they were in the same like gated area,
Yeah.
all within like walking distance of each other. But we looked at one.
Yeah.
I don't know what that says about us.
I mean, hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully it's one and done.
You'll find out in a few weeks.
Yeah. But I prioritize those things over, just getting out and walking and then working. I just get so focused on stuff. So one of my bad habits is, my focus will shift, and then I'm all in. I was all in on trying to get the house because I needed to move out of the place that I was renting in the energy corridor. So that was number one priority for me. But at least I was sleeping better. I might kind of switch out the habits. So maybe stop working out, but was sleeping better. Not eating better either. I barely eat sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes around the holidays that becomes a bigger issue, right? Because even if you're eating, you're usually going to events or parties or, holiday dinners, and you're eating like shit as a result of it. And then you try to make up with it by maybe inadvertently not eating throughout the day, having a meal, or, just...
Well, when I fall off from my training regimen or schedule, everything, like, except my sleep. My sleep stays because it's the foundation of everything. Yeah. But, like, how I eat changes because I'm not burning as many calories. Right? And I typically eat the same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There's, like, a mix of things that I'll eat on a regular basis. And how I kind of, reconcile falling off is that, 85 to 90% of the time I'm consistent and my habits are good and they're healthy and I'm on. But
what do you do to stay on track?
When I fall off, I don't get down on it.
Okay.
I don't beat myself up about, falling off, getting off track, not being consistent for a period of time. It's just every day I wake up, it's a new day. Sometimes when I go to bed, it's like, well, I'll try again tomorrow.
I feel like sometimes it's a little bit easier when you want to try to reinforce positive habits if you've got a support network behind you, right? Or if you've got accountability partners with you, kind of maybe pushing you.
But how sustainable is that?
That's kind of the question. It's like, how do you build up those habits where it's routine that, if that person that you're going to the gym with every day moves.
But that's why you don't do it. That's why you don't have. I'm not for that. I don't vouch for that. Saying accountability partners, because life gets busy and people are at different stages in their lives. So it's got to be on you, Austin.
No, I get that, but I think surrounding yourself with people, right? I mean, I assume with boxing, that you can't compete at the heavyweight level just on your own, right? You got to surround yourself with a good trainer, nutritionist. All these different coaches that are going to help elevate your game.
That's fair. That's on the extreme, but we're talking about boring. We're boring young professionals.
Dude, we're not young anymore. That's the crazy part.
We're boring.
You could have said that 10 years ago.
We're boring professionals.
Yeah, notice I didn't question that
part. Boring professionals, and it's mundane. It's just like the routine. The every day, the day in, the day out, the consistency over a prolonged period of time is what matters. It's the full body of work that matters. Not, not going hard for 3 months and then, expecting to lose 20 pounds. It's, I've been going consistent for years.
This is actually one of the reasons why I'm excited that we're moving to a new spot is, I imagine we're still going to be continuing to work from home for, maybe it's not 5 days a week anymore. Maybe it's just a hybrid 2 to 3 days, whatever that is. But my current desk setup, I mean, you've seen it.
Yeah.
It's kind of buried over in a corner right between the washer and dryer and the refrigerator.
Yeah.
You can't stand. There's nowhere to stand. So, we have a tight space for 2 people to work.
Yeah.
The good thing about being in this new spot is there's an office downstairs. Katie's going to take that. Either we're going to convert one of the bedrooms.
Did you guys flip on that? How'd that work out?
No, it was just sort of, made sense.
Yeah.
I wanted a standard desk. I wanted podcast equipment and all of that. And that doesn't make sense to have, all that stuff down in the living room area. So I'm excited about getting a standing desk.
It's exciting.
It's something small.
Yeah.
But, I haven't figured out the cadence. I think when I'm doing like actual work and writing, I think I'll probably sit down, but I'm on calls a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm going to turn that into whenever I'm on a call, stand.
Okay.
And I'm excited about it because, when you're in the office, you're constantly moving around, right? You're going downstairs to get coffee. You're going to someone's desk and chatting. I feel like there's more movement, and when you're just sitting at a desk like I have all day, you're not getting that. You're not getting your blood moving.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We'll see what the cadence looks like. But
I noticed that my back was hurting when we first started working from home because I was sitting.
Yeah.
So that's why I got a standing desk because I have one at the office, and I typically stand the whole work day. There are some days, maybe like if I've done a heavy leg day, I'll alternate and sit down every other hour. But for the most part, I stand up all day, and I feel great. My back, no more issues from just sitting down, kind of slumped over all day. So that's exciting stuff, man.
It's a little thing.
It'll help your posture too.
It's the little things.
Yeah, it is. It is a little thing. Like I said, it's like the Starship Enterprise.
Gotta have the lights, red alert, blinking.
You could.
Maybe. I don't know.
Or you go on mute, turn your camera off, and have a moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Tony, when he and I were chatting a little while back, we were talking about habits, and there are things that people know they need to do. Like that exercising is beneficial, but people don't do it. That sleep is beneficial, but people don't do it. That eating, nutritious meals is good for you, but people don't necessarily do that. If you're a young single person, that wearing a condom if you're having sex with people you don't know all that well is good for you, but people make a habit of not doing it. Why do you think that is, Austin? Why do you think we're just knuckleheads out here in these streets?
I don't know. It reminds me of that song lyric from Khalid, like young, dumb, broke high school kids.
Okay.
Although maybe young, dumb, and broke young professionals. I don't know. I think sometimes we want what we can't have, right? We like indulgences. Our brain's kind of wired like that.
Yeah.
I think like sugar gives you a high.
Mm-hmm.
Eating certain meals, drinking certain meals, might make us like feel good.
Yeah.
I think we're very spoiled here in the United States. Like, consider where we are right now. You draw a 1 mile radius around us. How many incredible restaurants are there? A lot.
Yes.
A lot. I don't know the exact number. I wasn't looking for an exact number. But we have so many.
Thinking, where are we?
Yeah, we have so many quality restaurants around here that we're lazy. Like, why should I cook at home when I could go to El Tiempo, which is
delicious,
quarter mile away from here?
Yeah,
and the end of the day, you go to El Tiempo, you're gonna get a margarita, maybe two. You're gonna get some
Oh,
fajitas. And you even think about like the cost that it adds up. Dinner for two at a Mexican restaurant here is what, 60, $70. Whereas that's a week's worth of groceries. So we know that like eating out costs money. We know that eating Mexican food and drinking margaritas isn't good for us. But I think sometimes we look at the other side of it, like, oh, I get to be social. I get
there's
to
value there.
enjoy something
There's value there. You didn't have
that
to
I
cook,
like.
so there was
Didn't have to cook. I don't have to clean up.
Exactly. So that saves you time. And, depending on what an hour of your time is worth, we had an episode about that.
Yeah, we did.
It might make sense, actually.
It might make sense to go out, but does it make sense to go out and get like
Don't
half
have
pound of fajitas?
don't have the margarita.
Yeah, you can't do that. If you go to El Tempo, you have to have the margarita. So it's a bylaw.
Oh, that's a bad habit.
It's a
Sounds like
contractual
a bad habit to me.
It's a contractual obligation when you go in. When you
Yeah.
step in the doors, you are legally obligated to buy a frozen margarita.
That's not true.
It's fact check it. Look it up.
And some people do struggle with alcohol though, and they have to have
Yeah.
that one drink or
Yeah.
two drinks, to take the edge off for whatever reason. I can't relate necessarily, but I know it exists. I know it's a thing.
We talk about habits. I think caffeine has always been something that's been in my family, at least for
Yeah.
like I remember my mom growing up. She would always get one of like those big like 44-ounce like Diet Dr. Peppers
Disgusting.
at the the gas station in the morning before
Yeah.
she went to work. We'd always give her a hard time about it too because it was like it's not like she got like a Coke or a Diet Coke. Like she got caffeine-free Diet Dr. Pepper,
Sugar.
but it's a ton of sugar. So anyways, like growing in college and stuff like that, I would have a Coke or a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Waco, Texas is Dr. Pepper, university. But I went through a stretch in 2012, 2013. I think I went like 2 years without having any sort of like caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt great. Like the only thing I had was water. I mean, if I had a rum and Coke or something like that, like once every now and then, that would be it.
Yeah.
Just a splash of
Yeah.
soda. But I went like 2 years without having any sort of Coca-Cola
What
products.
brought you back?
I was actually in Germany, and I was doing a baseball camp. I think it was 2014, 2015. Just on a hot summer day, I didn't want bubble water, and I had a Coke. I wouldn't say that I drink a lot of Cokes.
Yeah.
No, I mean I'm mostly drinking water, especially throughout the day. But I do drink coffee, and
Yeah.
coffee is something now that it's a habit in the morning. Have
It's
to have that.
your morning ritual.
Yeah, I have to have that cup of coffee to focus. And again, I know the cost of it. It could be expensive. I mean, you can make, the at-home pods, but it's $1 a pod or 50 cents a pod.
Yeah.
Or you could be indulgent to go to Starbucks and pay, what is it now, like $6.25 with inflation. Prices
I
have
don't
risen so much in the past year. And you look at it and you're like, all right, if I spend, let's say $5 a day on coffee, $25 a week, it's $100 a month. It's $1,200 a year on coffee. Now take that $1,200, put it into the stock market every year, and look how much
I see where you're
money you're
going.
throwing away.
I don't know. I mean, there's value. Like you enjoy the coffee.
Slurping it at all.
There you go. It's hot. It's warm.
A little origin story for those of you that have been with us for a bit.
And that's what you like. And I think, we can't discount what people like.
Yeah.
And the time that's saved, when you tell someone like, you could put that $1,200 in the market. Okay, but the market is not making me feel how this, frappe latte something other ish.
I don't know. I mean, if you told me, that the $1,200 that I could have invested in Bitcoin back in like 2011 would turn into like 67
2020
million.
hindsight, Austin.
That would make me feel really good.
Yeah. But you'd have more coffee.
It's not
to
common.
drink.
It's not common.
Right. That's
Oh, I'd have my own coffee.
high
I'd have
impact,
my own
low probability.
I'd have my own coffee farm. It'd be incredible.
I mean, if you love coffee that much, you could do it. I'll tell you why I stopped drinking coffee is because of the headaches if I miss my cup in the morning. And I hated that the caffeine had control over how I felt.
See, I've heard a lot of people discuss like the caffeine headaches.
Yeah.
That was something even when I gave up drinking Coke. Because again, I never drank coffee until like 2016.
Mm-hmm.
if I did have any sort of caffeine, it would just be a Coke product or a Dr. Pepper. Um, but even when I stopped, I never had like the caffeine headaches. And I've heard of so many people getting them, but that's our body craving something that we want, that we're missing. And it's probably why, like, drugs are so addictive, and that, like, the harder drugs that you get on, like, heroin, meth, why it's so difficult for people to quit, just because you are trying to give it up, but your body's still craving it. Alcohol, same thing. Your body's still craving it because it's a habit. It's something that you formed. It's tough to break bad
Smoking.
habits. Yeah, it's tough to break bad habits.
And then, just thinking about where you picked up all those habits, I think it's just good to have an awareness of, what you do habitually. That way you can prioritize. Like, what if you have habits that you don't necessarily know you have? You aren't aware of them. So I kind of, challenge you on the prioritization piece. Like, we get that. Like, if you're take a step back, but if you're in the trenches, just going about your daily routine, until you sit down and write down what you do every day, so you can have a better idea of how you actually spend your time. And then also, while you're at it, since you're writing stuff down, write down what you want to be doing or where you want to be, and then also write down how much time you think it'll take to get to where you want to be, and then look at what you're actually doing habitually, and does that mesh with what it's going to take to get you where you want to be.
It's funny how you mentioned writing down your time, and this is something that I've noticed in the consulting space over the last year, is we have to allocate all of our time,
Mm-hmm.
right? 40 hours in a week. You've got to allocate X amount to this client, X amount to this client.
Mm-hmm.
If you go over, then your profit margin slides a little bit. But it's weird. You track down every call, 15 minutes. I think lawyers, they track like every 6 minutes is what they do. But it really does put into perspective, just how, I guess, effective or ineffective a workday is for you. Just by how much time you're actually putting into a client, how much time you're putting into a specific work. Because I felt like, at least in the corporate world, we had projects that we were working on, and it might take us 2 to 3 days ballpark, but did we know that we spent 2 hours and 25 minutes on this particular project?
It depends who's on the team.
Fair.
If someone's like me is on the team, I'm like, we spent way too much time on
We
this.
spend way too much time on phone calls, on meetings. Like, why can't we do 20-minute meetings instead of 30? Why, instead of a 20-minute meeting, don't we just send an email?
Yeah.
Do we really, like, one of our clients is a huge tech company.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's heard of it. 1.6 billion of you use it. But they have like a weekly round robin call. And we have a certain amount of hours that we've allocated to this client per month. They have a weekly round robin call for all the states that are part of the account, right? And so our business handles their Texas operations, handles their Texas media efforts. When we first started these calls, I think we had 4 to 5 people from our team on these calls every week. And all you do is just give an update, right?
Yeah.
Like a quick update on what you're working on for 90 seconds. That's it. But instead, we are charging the client 2.5 hours for all of us being on that 30-minute call. So we're dedicating 10 hours of our team's time to that call per week.
All right.
Doesn't make sense. So I actually, spoke up, and I was like, hey, why don't we just have like one person on our team join in and then just update everybody? The more that I think of it, there's 15 to 17 states that join this call. This is something that can just be handled in an email. I mean, we're in email communication with them all the time.
Yeah. Bullet points.
Is it the most effective use of our clients' time and dollars?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it is, but that's a problem that I see in like consulting in general, and not just consulting, but corporate as well. People have meetings just to have meetings.
They do, and
we need to break that habit.
People, absolutely. And if you're talking about your 40 hours a week that you work, yep, absolutely. You want to be optimal, but take that same energy into your own life, and get boring with it. Get silly with it. Sit down, write it out.
Get jiggy with it.
No.
Okay. Had to throw it out there.
Just in that, it's as simple as sitting down and like writing out how you spend your time. Yeah, I love this because we started. Wasn't our first episode about time?
It's one of the first episodes.
Oh, it was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we're tying in our habits, which make up our time.
There's actually a planner. I'm a big person in terms of like making sure my calendar's up to date.
Yep.
I've even got my calendar set up now where I hate going back and forth with people that work at a different company, and I like wish that you could just easily give someone access to your Outlook calendar so they can schedule a time. And I found this app online where I can sync it up with my Outlook calendar. So if somebody from, like, for example, if you,
they can make an appointment.
yeah, if you email me and you're like, hey, Austin, what's your schedule look like this week? I mean, obviously I would just tell you like Friday afternoon or something like that. But if I didn't know you and you wanted to have a call with me, I could just send you this link.
Yep. You can see the calendar.
You go to it and you could see what times are available.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's got it set up where if you book that time, it'll send you a Teams invite.
Yeah.
So you can just join on Teams. And I love having something like that. But in terms of like, for me, I like to have the calendar in order. I like to write stuff down on meetings. I'm not always the most effective in terms of like keeping everything in one spot. Like sometimes I'll use my notes app on my desktop. Sometimes I'll write stuff down. Sometimes I'll open a Word document. It just really depends on what I'm doing. But I purchased this, it's sort of like a planner, but it's not. And I'll have to show it to you after. And it's something that I haven't used yet, but I need to. But it's got writing prompts in there, similar to what you were saying about, what do you want to accomplish this week?
Yeah.
What do you want to accomplish this month? What do you want to accomplish in 6 months? What are you proud of that you've accomplished today?
Yeah. And that's not to say you need to be accomplishing things all the time.
No.
It's just really taking ownership of your time.
It forces you to think about that. And so it's not a journal. It's I guess it is a journal. It's more of a journal that you can use to accompany.
Get your life together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it helps you prioritize on yourself, which is important. And we'll drop a link down into the show notes. Fortunately, we don't have like a referral code.
Well, and that leads into focus, right? So that helps you focus. So I mentioned writing stuff down. And in order to get things done, I don't care what it is, like you need to be focused on it, right? Your energy needs to go into it, and you have to be focused in order to give your energy to it.
Yep.
But it's like living in a house that's not energy efficient. So sitting down to write that stuff down let you clog those gaps and get your life efficient, whatever it is. You don't want to accomplish anything. You just want to know where all your time goes. It's the same thing with budgeting, right? Knowing where all your money is going, right?
Yeah.
All those Starbucks coffees. How much are you spending on Starbucks?
By the way, here's something interesting. I guarantee you most of the people that listen to this that go to Starbucks, they have the Starbucks app, right? And Starbucks encourages you to download their app so you can get stars, you can get points, then redeem it for free coffee. Starbucks is essentially a bank because once you put that money in the account, you can't withdraw it. The only way that you can utilize the money is to spend it.
It's not. Is it a bank?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, it's probably not formally a bank, but they take that money and they invest it.
Oh, they invest your money.
I mean, you don't get anything out of it.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's
I don't like it.
If I have a
I do not approve.
If I have a Bank of America account and I put in $100, I can withdraw that $100 at any time.
Right.
If I put $100 into Starbucks, the only way that I can withdraw that is by buying coffee.
No way. No way. If you
Starbucks
use that, you're a sucker. Okay? On your forehead. Absolute sucker.
And that's the one takeaway that we want you to have on this week's episode of Cautious Coffee. If you go to Starbucks, you're a sucker. So
no. If you put your money in that Starbucks account,
yeah,
you are. I just really wanted to share with our listeners that, we all fall off.
Yeah.
We all have bad habits, but, we want to learn and be aware of what those good and bad habits are, especially as we try to navigate this world. And it's a hard world out here with the universe and the earth trying to kill us every single day.
And drivers on 610.
There
in
you go.
Houston.
There you go. I mean, you want to have a good run here in life. So, know what the hell you're doing with your time, your energy, and your efforts.
I think that's a great way to wrap up this season
I love it.
of Cautious Coffee. And I've had fun. We've done 20 episodes plus a bonus episode. We've had a few guests on the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's a journey. We're not going to get everything right. Obviously, we would have liked to have been more consistent in putting out some of these episodes, and we hope to do more of that into season 2. And we hope that you're a part of this journey. And we want to thank everyone who's listened or shared or even commented on this podcast, and let us know what you want to hear on the show.
What you'd be interested in. Austin are not out clout chasing.
No.
So you won't find us, talking about the latest gossip or.
Speaking of that, what do you think about Joe Rogan? I'm joking.
I mean, that's fun. It is fun, but we're not clout chasing. We do this because it comes from a genuine place, and we'd love to have more listeners' input.
Absolutely.
And we are always open to criticism, constructive criticism.
Yeah, and I think we're going to try to do some fun things for season 2.
We're taking this show on the road in season 2.
That's the plan.
Yeah,
that's the plan. And interview people on the street, like man on the street. That I had a podcast called The Weekly Brew back in the day, sports, politics, pop culture, and I was in Chicago on election night in 2016. I took my microphone to the protest in Chicago. Incredible sound bites. I'm not saying I want to go to like protest and record. But man, getting those like authentic on the street sound bites, and again, we're not going to put a camera in someone's face necessarily, but
yeah, that can be fun.
Could be fun.
That could be fun.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll have a brainstorming session. We'll come back to you season 2. We don't know when it'll launch. Probably sometime later this spring.
Yep, absolutely.
That's the plan.
Yeah. We want to get ahead of the recording and make some good, high quality content. None of that throwaway stuff.
Yeah.
It's about a full body of work for us.
Exactly. That's the plan. And if you want to follow our journey, just search Cautious Coffee on all the social media platforms. We're there. Also, cautiouscoffee.com. You can also follow DeRae on his socials. Drop your socials.
Dynamo Crane on Instagram. I think that's the only one I have. Still debating the TikTok. My girlfriend might talk me into it yet.
You could just search Austin Staten or A Staten on all the platforms. I think it's Austin Staten on Instagram, then A Staten everywhere else. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's season 1.
That's season 1. It's wrapped up. We'll see you back in season 2.
Take care, everyone.